The atmosphere which surrounds motor racing in Italy has to be experienced to be believed. And of Italian motor races, who can dispute the claim of the Mille Miglia to be the greatest of them all? By the time the first car leaves, all Italy is swept by its wildfire of excitement. For the outright victory, Maserati fielded the normal, fabulous assortment of Grand Prix machinery thinly disguised as sports cars. With an honest 400 brake horsepower at his command, Moss looked well placed to repeat his victory of 1955 and was firm favourite with the knowledgeable crowd assembled to see the scrutineer. The 301 entries included all the stars. This is the Oscar of that amazing man, Cabianca. Berra crashed in practice, but with Moss and Hermann, Maserati still had Scarlatti with a normal 300S. Ferrari entered 5 works cars, all with different large-capacity engines, to be driven by Peter Collins, Piero Taruffi, Von Trips, Alphonse de Portago, who was standing in for an unwell Musso, and Olivier Gendebien. But the entry was not to be left entirely an Italian monopoly, thanks to the courage and initiative of all too few individuals. The Roots Group, as last year, entered a pair of Sunbeam Rapiers, seizing the opportunity to test and demonstrate the performance of their cars under the most exacting conditions possible. Peter Harper and Jackie Rees had car number 212, while Sheila Van Dam was partnered by David Humphrey. In the 1100cc sports category, this Lotus was to be driven by motoring editor Gregor Grant. Count Johnny Lorani was there to welcome his many British friends, including Sterling's fiancée, who was seeing her first Mille Miglia. Also a newcomer to the race, Jackie Rees sought comfort from Dennis Jenkinson, the man who rides with Moss. Norman Garrett of Roots was, as ever, on hand to see his cars and drivers right. She's an interpreter. Her French, too, is exquisite. By this time, Brescia is in a frenzy, and so are many of the drivers. There's never a dull moment at scrutineering. She interprets too. Now all is set for the start of the 24th Mille Miglia. 1,000 miles of desperate adventure lie ahead. But first, the daylight must be allowed to fade. Not until 11 at night will the first of the cars set off. Many drivers will tell you that this is the worst part of the race. No wonder Jackie Rees looks thoughtful. Watchman, what of the night? In an atmosphere that's near to nightmare, the Mille Miglia starts. Had this setting been designed to frighten the driver, it could scarcely be more effective. The time is approaching 12 minutes past 2 a.m. With headlights blazing in readiness for the plunge into total dark, Peter Harper and Jack Rees calmly leave the ramp. Sheila Van Dam and David Humphrey take the plunge. And the rest of their 1600cc special touring class follow them minute by minute. The Italian dawn comes early in May, but already, as ever, Lady Luck has shown her hand, and Sterling Moss is out of the race with a broken brake pedal, while a combination of treacherous tram lines and a shop window has ended this effort for Sheila Van Dam. There in full song goes Peter Collins' Ferrari, and losing a little ground to his teammate, Taruffi comes flashing past. Immediately, the roads are reopened to normal traffic. Meantime, still many miles ahead, Peter Harper puts the Rapier to a flat-out test along the fast section southwards along the Adriatic from Ravenna towards Pescara. This experienced rally crew would have preferred bad weather on tactical grounds to the perfect day which greeted them. Be that as it may, they averaged 79.36 miles an hour in the dark for the first 2.5 hours and 80.78 miles an hour for the 4 hours and 50 minutes to Ravenna. At first sight, the entry of a 4-seater high-speed touring car, such as the Sunbeam Rapier, against the ultra-road racing machinery of the European specialist builders may seem a wasted effort. But nothing could be further from the truth. For many years now, the Rootes Group policy has been to subject their products to the extreme test of international events. The tougher, the better. The result has been an enviable record of success in Alpine, Monte Carlo, Tulip and other rallies, to say nothing of the Rapier's Class Award in the previous Millimiglia. And perhaps even more important, this policy has ensured the constant improvement of models which leave the Rootes factories for the markets of the world. Along these roads were to thunder the Ferrari team, all unaware of their release from the Maserati threat, for Hermann had holed his sump near Ferrara. Von Trips, who led to Ravenna, was passed by both Collins and Taruffi, both very much at home as the road led inland towards the mountains. The Rome control on the Millimiglia is a place almost as frenzied as Brescia itself. With more than half the distance behind them, drivers here embark on the homeward run. But by this time, both men and machines are liable to show some signs of wear. An overshoot of the pits could mean tired brakes, tired driver, or simply unfamiliarity with the setup. But it also means seconds lost, and seconds do matter on the Millimiglia. In the program against number 257 stood the mystic letters FK, for initials only, and sometimes nicknames, are used to conceal the identity of drivers in this hazardous event. The Rapier's time to Rome was 7 hours 7 minutes, an average, including all refueling stops, of 76.16 miles an hour. He who leads at Rome, says the old Millimiglia proverb, will not win. But Peter Collins and his navigator Louis Clementaschi, number 534, had now built up a lead of over 5 minutes on their nearest rival. And as this was their Ferrari teammate Piero Taruffi, number 535, it seemed that, barring accidents, this was to be the Englishman's race. De Portago and Nelson, number 531, were fourth behind Von Trips, and Jean with the Gran Turismo car made it Ferrari for the first 5 places. Now came the approach to the Radicofani Pass, some 90 miles north of Rome on the road to Siena. Not high by Alpine standards, the Radicofani nevertheless climbs to 2,600 feet and provides an interesting section of the course. Still leading the field, which was originally strung out over a period of 6.5 hours, the astonishingly fast modified 750s of Italy hurled themselves at the mountain. But this sort of thing is meat and drink to Peter Harper, now in his 9th unbroken hour at the wheel of the willing Rapier. Behind came the sports cars. This is the 2-liter brigade. But now it was saloons and sports cars very much mixed up. As Peter Collins overtakes that 1100 Oscar, one of the quick ones, he has gained 2 hours and 5 minutes on the smaller car, a fact not lost upon the local enthusiasts. Turuffi, driving solo on the roads he knows so well, is still losing ground to Collins. Von Trips retains his third position. And now, the fast descent, and a further flat-out section through Siena to Florence. Drivers who reach the Florence control on the Mille Miglia might well appreciate the welcome which awaits them. It's a hard ride in any car, and the competition in all the classes is just as fierce as the struggle for the absolute lead. Meantime, the Italian idea of closed roads continues to operate with a terrifying nicety of timing. Harper and Rees press on. On the fast sections, the car was held for long periods around the 105-mile-an-hour mark. Number 417 was Gendebien. Bob Carnegie leads the privately entered Fitzwilliam MGs, but tragedy overtook this Dutch-driven triumph. Peter Collins' arrival, now leading by almost 10 minutes at Florence, gets spectators and officials hopping with delight. But like all the masters, Collins has time to be concerned about crowd behavior. That barrier is barbed wire. Turuffi now has eased off, and Von Trips, who started 3 minutes behind the veteran, is closing on him fast. But the next control at Bologna is over the mountain. And this is the last big double-barreled hazard of the course, the Futa Pass and its neighbor, the Raticosa. Still battling furiously amongst themselves, the 750s lead the way. At just on 3,000 feet, the summit of the Raticosa draws spectators from hundreds of miles around, and from the vehicles they have on hand, the Italian authorities appear to be leaving nothing to chance. That 750 Abarth is on its way to third place in a fiercely contested class for the tiny Gran Turismos. Rigamonti's Oscar on its way to beat the other 27 750 sports cars. Gendebien, running ahead of the big sports cars, is not sure where he lies in relation to Scarlatti, the sole survivor of the Maserati works. And this is the 2-liter Testarossa Ferrari which won its class. But Peter Collins is now in trouble. He knows that his Ferrari transmission is breaking up, and he's just hoping to make the finish. Turuffi, unaware of Collins' anxiety, is on the lookout now and intends merely to keep Von Trips, number 532, in sight to the finish and thereby beat his teammate by 3 minutes. The spectators toast a certain Ferrari victory, for De Portago lies fourth unchallenged and is going fast but easily. Fitzwilliam, his car damaged, drives on to finish, and Smuds' Ford has proved a shade unwieldy for this type of thing. There's plenty of sting in the tail of the Mille Miglia, and as the Rapier races on over the mountains towards Brescia, the fortunes of the race are for many still very much in the balance. Ravenna, Ancona, Pescara, Rome and Florence. One by one, the cities have flared with excitement as the race has passed. But now Brescia is once again the focal point, and in the square, which has never really quietened since the start, the crowds regather for the final act. However, for the spectator who prefers the scene of action, the countryside, and preferably the mountains, are the place. The section from Bologna northwest to Piacenza and Cremona was to be packed with dramatic incident. The crowd was on the lookout for Jean de Bien, for still going superbly fast ahead of De Portago, he had moved up to fourth place past the Spaniard, while Gregor Grant was soon to split his fuel tank. That 2-litre Maserati had frightened its driver, while in the Rapier, Jack Rees had taken the wheel from Harper after his splendid drive and was making sure that the car should lose no time on his account. In Brescia, the first car was expected any minute. But as the officials assembled, the position board was falling behind events. Turuffi was now in the lead and knew it, for the transmission on Collins' car finally broke at Palma, and the British pair were robbed of certain victory. Close now on Turuffi's heels was Von Trips in second place, and both had slowed to spare their own Ferraris. At the finish, the early starters now came streaming in. But out in the country, the battle still was waged. De Portago now had fewer miles to go than he or anyone knew. A burst tire at 170 miles an hour was to end the life of this all-round sportsman and indeed threaten the future of the race itself. 163 cars only of the 301 to start were to see the checkered flag. But the Rapier was on its way to join them and uphold the proud tradition of Sunbeam in international competition. Turuffi and Von Trips finished together, first and second for Ferrari, and just 3 minutes apart in racing time. Jean de Bien was third, Scarlatti of Maserati fourth, and Malioli fifth. The Rapier, averaging 70.5 from Rome, was second in its class, completing the 1,000 miles in 14 hours. A great effort by Harper and Rees, a tribute to the car, now further improved from lessons learned in the extreme test of Europe's most ferocious race. In the Mille Miglia, men and cars earn fame through courage and tenacity. The credit is not confined to the outright winners, great though their claim may be, but is shared by everyone who completes this fantastic course within the qualifying time.